Hello, I'm Doug Atkinson here at Solutions Review, and I want to thank all of our keynote speakers, expert moderators, panelists, and solutions sponsors for participating in this year's Insight Jam Live. This has been a big year with the launch of the InsightJam.com community site and the amazing growth of the Insight Jam YouTube channel, which now has over 500,000 subscribers. Much of this success is tied directly to the video events, podcasts, and panel discussions we have been producing, and none of that would be possible without the thoughtful participation of the many IT professionals who are generously sharing their expert insights for this latest jam. We are building Insight Jam to be a place to celebrate enterprise technology with best practices, expert analysis, and solution showcases. And we want all of you to join us there to keep the jam going into the new year and beyond. If you haven't joined Insight Jam, please do. And if you already have, take a moment to invite some of your colleagues. And again, thank you all for being here and enjoy this event.
Solutions Review presents the Insight Jam Expert Keynote.
Hi there, data guys, data gals, data cats, data kitties, data jacks, data kings, data queens, data tennis clubs, data aces, data jokers. I'm Scott Taylor, the Data Whisperer, thrilled and delighted to be here at Insight Jam, talking to you about the power and value of proper data management. Today, my session is called Data is the New Bullshit. But what I really mean by that is why the way we talk about data is holding the industry back and what you can do about it. Of course, this is my GenAI edition, because all you have to do is add GenAI to everything these days, and suddenly it's modern. In fact, I'm going to change the way I spell my name to add an AI in it just to show how supportive I am of all that. Everything we do today turns to data. As your business and your business process go from analog to digital, everything we do turns to data. And enterprises of all sizes are struggling to make sense of it all because instead of delivering fabulous insights, this data can create a lot of chaos. Now, I'm sure your organization is data practitioners. You know how to use data to help grow your business, help improve your business, help protect your business. But do you know how to explain that to your business? Or do you just debate the subtle nuances between a data product, data as a product, and data productization? Are you too thrilled with the implementation of your analytics graph hub fabric mesh to be able to speak clearly to your organization about the value of what you do? Well, I'm here to help. I'm here to help you tell a better data story. My mission today is to just simply give you new ways to talk about what you already know. You know how to do data, but do you know how to talk about it? And focus on why it's important. I haven't met a CEO or a CFO who cares how you're going to do it until they understand why it's important. My company, Meta Consulting, we're about what it's about. Meta, no, I'm not changing my name to Facebook. I get that question all the time. I talk about how people talk about data. And I provide what I call data evangelism as a service, a way to get people fired up about the work that you do. I'm a content creator in the data space, and even though I go by the Data Whisperer, I'm sure, big spoiler alert here, I don't do a lot of whispering. I'm out there selling, yelling, and telling about the power and value of proper data management. I do all kinds of content with all kinds of tech brands and enterprises. You should check me out on YouTube. I've got some great videos on ways to put your better data story together. I also have a series called The Data Puppets, which feature the adventures of my starring character, the CDO, the Chief Dog Officer, and his adventures in enterprise data, trying to help his organization get value out of it. Of course, he hires a catsultant from Meow Kinsey, so check those out. And this is essentially a demo you're seeing today. This is what I do, is I share my view of how to put a better data story across enterprises and work with technology brands. I do data town halls with enterprises and so on. So if you like what I do, get a hold of me. I'm happy to do it with your organization. I wrote a whole book about this topic called Telling Your Data Story, Data Storytelling for Data Management. You can see right on there, it is 99% buzzword free. I did not want to overpromise. recently translated into French, where it's 99% Saint Ma a la mode, which of course means no words with ice cream. And we all try and be disruptive in the data space. I think I come by that. Honestly, I've been disruptive since the 4th grade. That's my 4th grade picture. See if you can pick me out. Yeah, that's me. I still like the polka dots. And in my 4th grade report card, my teacher wrote, Scott is disruptive and distracting to others. I took that as a compliment. Now, when you talk about data to your business partners, do they think in the words of the great Canadian philosopher? Yes, I'm sure some of you are wondering, Canadian philosopher? Yes, Avril Lavigne. Why do we have to make things so complicated? And why do we have to make things so complicated in the data space? We do that, don't we? You might remember that from our great hit, Dater Boy. Data is very confusing. I'll give you some examples. The lake house. I'm sure your CEO thinks that's where your data goes on vacation. Not too long ago, it was all about the data fabric and the data mesh. What about the data Spanx? Have you tried that? AI, BI. Have you heard of AI, BI? What's next? CI, DI, EI, EI, CD, AIO, whatever it is out there. You've got to focus on the value rather than these crazy buzzwords. Have you heard software as a service? I'm sure you know that. Now I'm hearing about service as a software. That's literally SaaS backwards. SQL. Many of you data practitioners out there use SQL. What about NoSQL? Little audience participation here. Who knows what the NO in NoSQL means? That's right. Not only. Not only SQL. Only in the data space does no equal yes. No wonder they don't understand us. They're creating a standard for identification in the Internet of Things, only it's called idiot. That's not going to work. Have you tried integrated platform as a service with governance as a service? You know what I'm talking about. I pass gas. That is an elevator pitch you do not want to experience. Believe me, my eyes are burning from that demo. My personal philosophy about data, you can boil down to 3 words. And in storytelling, in executive communication, you want to be succinct, you want to be direct. And a challenge I have for all of you is, what's the fewest number of words you can use to describe whatever you're trying to do? My data philosophy, 3 words: truth before meaning. You must determine the truth in your data before you derive meaning out of it. It is not chicken or egg here. It is egg and omelet. If you do not have the truth in your data, you are not going to derive the meaning that you intend to get. And on this data journey, truth before meaning, I try to bifurcate the whole data space into 2 big segments. When I say truth, I don't mean anything political, obviously. I don't mean anything personal. It's about business, okay? In your business, you can figure out the truth in your business, what your business shares in terms of the baseline of what you're doing. And determining that truth, that takes work like data management, data governance, data quality, data stewardship, master data, reference data, MDM, RDM, PIM, RIM, DAM, all those foundational activities that you know and I know help you steward and curate and govern and distribute that core content all across your enterprise. And you have to do all of that first before you derive meaning out of it through business intelligence, analytics, data science, data literacy, visualization, artificial intelligence, machine learning, all the cool, hot, super fancy stuff that gets a disproportionate amount of the attention and spotlight and funding, given how dependent it is on the determining the truth part. So when I think about it, I think about determining the truth as where data starts and deriving meaning as where data ends up. And the challenge in the data management space is where data ends up is what business sees. They don't see the back office stuff. They don't see the behind the scenes stuff. They don't see the data management stuff. So we've got to be out there telling a story about why that part is so important as well. Now, there's two types of data storytelling as far as I'm concerned. The determining the truth part that I do, stories about the data, and the more classic data storytelling part, lots of books on that out there, stories with data. Now, they're both important. Stories with data are critical. How do you put data or a KPI or some form of analytics into a business context to drive action? I wish it had been called analytics storytelling. It would have cleared things up. But there's also this other data storytelling, stories about the data, about why it's so important. It's not Sophie's choice here. You need both of them in your organization, but I'm going to talk today about those stories about the data. I know GenAI is top of mind with everybody here, generative artificial intelligence. And so you've got to wonder, does that mean we have a new story? Well, it didn't take too long for GenAI to come out for people to start talking about the training corpus and AI governance. And you go back a little further during COVID when e-commerce came out and everybody jumped into e-commerce. All of a sudden, people had problems because their product reference data wasn't very good. And there were record MDM inquiries with the analysts. You go back a little further to data science. Suddenly, people were talking about all that munging and wrangling, data scientists spending 80% of their time munging and wrangling and 20% of their time complaining about the munging and wrangling. And they said you had to be more data-centric than model-centric. Before that, big data, the 3 V's out there. Big data needs little data. And when you had volume, velocity, and variety, it was the variety that tripped people up. How do I align all that data in a certain way? And you go way back to pre-2K. All these enterprise systems were being implemented, ERP and CRM, and people realized they have to harmonize all their legacy data. That's where that terminology started to come into the dialogue, and people started talking about silos and domain masters. And you go all the way back. Let's go back even further. The turn of the previous century, general ledger. You can't have a successful general ledger unless you have a chart of accounts. So do we have a new story today? I would submit to you from GenAI to GenLedger, it is the same story. If you don't determine the truth in your data, you're not going to derive the meaning out of it, no matter what the latest thing is. Because the truth about data management is the success of every digitally transformative customer-facing initiative, every as-a-service offering, every foray into e-commerce, every enterprise software implementation, every generative AI project is inextricably linked to the successful output of your data management efforts. No two ways about it. Now, that is the longest-winded, most complicated way I could say something that you all know. GIGO. Garbage in, garbage out. We all learn it on the first day of data. It is as sure as gravity. What goes up must come down. What goes in must come out. Now, I try to elevate this to the concept of the golden rule of data. Do unto your data as you would have it do unto you. What you put into data management is what you get out of business intelligence or analytics or AI or whatever they're calling it these days. Now, you put bad data into an ERP, you get a lousy ERP. You put bad data into CRM, you will miss your customer opportunities. You put bad data into FinTech, you'll get a visit from the regulators. Bad data into BI, BS. Bad data into AI, AS, artificial stupidity. Because no matter how you slice it or how you dice it, the golden rule of data prevails. Do unto your data as you would have it do unto you. Can I get an amen? There's some of that evangelism for you. Or a more philosophical way to say it, good decisions made on bad data are just bad decisions you don't know about yet. My most quoted quote, feel free to use it. Now, every company has a data story to tell about why managing data is of strategic importance. If you're a data manager out there, you know this. You know how to do it, but can you explain why? Some people like to start that story with, well, every company is a data company. Every company is a software company. And as of almost 2 years ago, well, no, every company's an AI company. I hate this logic. Unless you're in the data business, don't use it. And if this logic held up, the idea that the tools you use make you the kind of company you are, then every company's a paperclip company. I don't see anybody bragging about that. Or you might start with some analyst insight. I love this graph here from Gartner. They did a survey to show organizations measuring the value of master data. 90% said, no, we don't measure it. And 10% said, other? I hope yes is in other. I love MDM. I love master data. It is your most important data. That's where I came from in this space. And I love MDM so much I had to pull off the road and take a selfie in front of Michelson Door Manufacturing. But explaining MDM, explaining master data management and the role and the importance of that foundational data, that becomes a challenge. So you want to use terms and concepts like we need a common language in our organization, a common language for the most important parts of our business, our relationships, and our brands. We need to establish a standard. Now, no matter how non-technical any of your executives are, they all understand the value of a standard. Use different analogies, plugs and outlets, screws and nails. There's analogies everywhere about setting a standard in an organization. And ultimately, it's really about rows and columns. If you think about the really kind of sophisticated, old school data visualization technique, let's call it a table. People are really good at adding columns, really hard to align those rows. You ever take two spreadsheets and try and bang them together? Easy to do the columns, really tough to do the rows. Columns are easy, rows are hard. Columns are analytics. Columns are meaning. Rows are master data. Rows are the truth. And on a recent trip to the Acropolis, I was reminded it was all about rows and columns. Now, data management can equal something. It can equal pain. I know. I've talked to many of you over my career. And when you talk to a data management practitioner, they don't tend to use those kind of business euphemisms like, oh, we have a hurdle or we have a challenge. They talk about pain. They talk about physical pain. I'm reminded of an early anecdote in my career when I was talking to a sales organization, and the head of sales said, you know what, Scott, we can slice and dice our data any way I want to. All I have to do is push a button. And this really courageous analyst at the end of the room stood up and said, sir, I'm the button. Are you the button in your organization? People think all they got to do is push you. It hurts, doesn't it? It hurts when you're trying to deal with all those disparate data types and pull them all together for that quarterly report that's due tomorrow or yesterday. Now I'm going to show you what data pain looks like. It's graphic content here, so I want to warn you, if your kids are in the room, you may want them to leave here. This is going to be very disturbing to any data stewards. I call this naked data because there's no way to hide from it. You ready? Here you go. Here's what it looks like. That's it. This is the problem. These are from very embarrassingly large global enterprises who don't know what they're doing with Coca-Cola. Can't spell Nestle the same way twice. Look what they're doing to 7-Eleven. I don't know if you noticed yet, but 7 equals 11. Not in base 10. This last column here came from a retail sales organization. They put people in the field to do merchandising in different store locations. And when we took a look at their data, we found that they had over 275 different configurations of the 7-Eleven banner name. What a mess. Lots of creativity in the field, none of it selling product. This is it. This is the garbage in. This is the challenge you have. Helping and making sure the data is standardized at the closest point of input as possible. And I'm sorry to tell you, if you think the software is going to fix it itself, you put this in Excel and you get July 11th. Unless you're watching from Europe and then you get November 7th. Even we can't agree. I've been using this slide for over 25 years. People still love it. They're like, yeah, that's my problem. That's it. It's great that I can use it for 25 years, but I tell you, it's a little bit depressing that we're still talking about these same fundamental foundational problems. Oh, here's an example too. I just love to show, because sometimes the data is right, but the system doesn't read it correctly. There's a shoe site on a product for a manufacturer there. I don't know if you noticed, but take a look at the sizes. I wear a 5th of October. Now, how do you find that data story? How do you find it? You're like, Scott, I don't know what my data story is. I know how to do the data modeling, but where's my data story? It's sitting right in front of you, okay? It's hidden in plain sight. And for you to be a data leader to help move your organization, you must find the data story that resonates with your executives. There's lots of data story examples in my book, Telling Your Data Story. You can check it out. There'll be a code at the end and a discount code if you want to pick up the book. But I'm going to kind of roll all this up to the highest possible level so it's relevant to every one of you out there if you work at an enterprise. Because every company wants to provide value to their relationships through their brands at scale. That's what you want to do. Provide value to your relationships through your brands at scale. Let's take that apart. When we say provide value, only 3 ways I know of providing value through data in an organization: grow, improve, and protect. Grow the business like increasing sales. Protect the business or improve the business like operational efficiency. Protect the business like mitigating risk. Think about simple buckets to aggregate your value. You don't have 35 of them. I challenge you to give me something that doesn't fit into grow, improve, or protect. They all fit in there. Keep it simple. And when we say scale, that means technology. You can't scale without technology. When you have technology, you have hardware, you have software, you have data. When you have data, you need data management. Relationships. You all have relationships in your business. If you don't have relationships, you don't have a business. It is the most important data in your organization is the data about your relationships. Now, you might call it something different. It might be customer or vendor or partner or prospect or citizen or client or patient or consumer, whichever type of relationship you have that drives your business, but you all have relationships. And you provide value to those relationships through your brands. You all have brands. No matter what you do, you've got some kind of branded service or product or good or a location or a banner. You've got ingredients, you've got piece parts that make up that brand if it's a tangible product, or services that align to it if you're providing that sort of value. But everybody I am talking to, no matter who you are, you provide value to your relationships through your brands at scale. The data management part comes when you connect the quality and the status and the cleanliness and the existence of whatever that data is about those relationships, about those brands. Does it look like the 7-Eleven slide? Is it that kind of mess? Is it that kind of garbage in? So you want to connect that to what your company's trying to do. How's your data on that stuff? Does it suck? Probably. So giving you a framework around how to put this story together, let me talk about what I call the 3 V's of data storytelling for data management. Obviously, a knowing wink to the 3 V's of big data, but mine are vocabulary, voice, and vision. Vocabulary. The words you use are important. You want to establish an accessible vocabulary for your organization. Cut the buzzwords, okay? The terminology you use is important. Don't get technical. And frankly, skip a lot of the legacy lexicon we have in the data management space. I'm going to pick on something here, might be a little controversial. Don't go running around talking about how we need better data quality. You know why? Because nobody cares. Now, we care about data quality. I'm not saying it's not important. I'm not saying you don't measure it, that you want to be able to track it and improve it. But if you think that getting funding for your data management initiative is going to be around getting better data quality, I got news for you. It hasn't worked for decades. We've been whining and clamoring around data quality for as long as I've been in data, and it hasn't worked. It doesn't break through. So things like cleanliness, hygiene. Really, you want to clear a room of stakeholders? Tell them you're going to embark on a data hygiene program. They'll go running from the door. Think about why you need data quality and answer with that. Because when you go to your CFO and you say, we need more data quality, they're going to say, why? Answer with that why first. Think about what the initiatives are that you have that require that data quality and focus on those. And speak the language of your business. If you want to talk to your business, speak the language of your business. Your data team might have their own data speak that they use, but you don't have time to teach your executives and your business stakeholders your own vocabulary that you use technically to get the stuff done. Learn your business language. Second V, voice, the way you talk. You want to harmonize to a common voice. Now, harmony doesn't mean everybody sings the same notes, but it does mean they sound good together. What's the tone you use? Can you put together a little elevator pitch about why data is so important, especially managing it? Can you? Have you done it? Have you gotten up on your feet to do it? Have you explained it to your partner or your mother or your dog? Do they understand it? You got to get up and get better at storytelling. If I'm making you a little nervous about doing that, good. You should feel that way. You've got to get better at these soft skills. I'm different. I have a fear of not public speaking. That's all I do all day. But you've got to get up and get those butterflies working for you to be able to present that story in a strong, commanding, consistent voice across your organization. And put a little marketing program together. That doesn't have to be too fancy. You're not running TV ads here, but do something clever or witty or pithy that'll grab people's attention. Here's a tip. Reflect your own brand and positioning and use that to explain why managing data is important. So if you're a healthcare company, healthy data is the lifeblood of an organization. If you're, I heard a CDO from a water utility talk about, we have a reservoir of data, we run it across the pipelines, everybody can turn the spigot, they understand the confidence of the data that's going to come out of that spout. Again, kind of play with your own business slogan and put the word data in there. It doesn't have to be that fancy, but you got to do something. And finally, vision. Why is it important? Everything we do in data needs to enable the strategic intentions of your enterprise. Where is your company going, and why is managing data going to help you get there? If you don't know the vision of your company, learn it, understand it, internalize it. And you know where you can find it? Listen to what your leaders say. If you're a public company, read your annual report. Read your CEO's letter. I guarantee you, in the annual report, it will not say anything about, we need better data quality. But they will talk about relationships, and they will talk about brands, and they will talk about doing it at scale. So find those hooks, use your own vocabulary to connect them, and show, if you get 5 minutes with your CEO, how where they want to go they're not going to get there unless they have the data foundation that you're trying to build. Investor Day presentations are great. Again, if you're a public company, check those out. You should know those anyway. They're usually, your whole executive team in their full game day uniform talking about the vision of the company, and you can plug that stuff right in there. Just look behind it. Again, relationships, brands, scale. It will be, as I mentioned, hidden in plain sight. So vocabulary, the words you use, voice, the way you talk, and vision, why it's important. And the most powerful delivery system ever invented for an idea is a story, said Aaron Sorkin, who, believe me, knows how to put some stories together. If you've ever seen, I'm sure you've seen his movies and shows, The West Wing, Social Network, A Few Good Men. What's the great line from A Few Good Men? Well, I'll tell you, without data management, you can't handle the truth. But all respect to Aaron and to Jack here, with data management, you can handle the truth. All right, I'm going to tell you one last story. It's a little cautionary tale about the lack of data governance in an organization. I read it to my grandson. It's a data bedtime story called The Little Red Data Hen. Sit back and enjoy this one.
How are we doing today?
Yes.
Should we read some books?
Yes. Could you read me a book about data governance, Pop?
Of course I can. How about The Little Red Data Hen?
Yeah.
Once upon a time, in a legacy barnyard, there was a little red data hen. She knew all her data could help all the other animals do their job better, but they never paid enough attention. One day, the little red data hen called all the animals into the barnyard. Who wants to create a data-driven utopia of interoperability where our insights flow freely from workflow to edge across integrated ecosystems? Asked the little red data hen.
That's a lot of buzzwords.
I know. Who wants great data? Asked the little red data hen. I do. Mood, the sales cow. I need to cross-sell and upsell. I do. Barked the finance puppy. I need to maintain regulatory compliance. I do. Oinked the marketing pig. I need better targeting for our customer journey. But the little red data hen had a big problem. All our data is a mess, she said, and it's stuck in silos. And because she lived on a farm, those were real silos.
What are silos?
That's a place where people keep data separate from other data.
Why?
It's a problem everywhere.
So they don't get mixed up?
Yeah, so they don't get mixed up. I'm seeking stakeholder engagement, said the little red hen. Who will help me collect and catalog the data, she asked. Not I, mooed the sales cow. I need to focus on revenue. Not I, barked the finance puppy. I don't see the immediate ROI. Not I, oinked the marketing pig. My priority is brand equity. Oh, very well. I'll do it myself, said the little red data hen. And she collected and cataloged all the data she could from all the silos and migrated it.
Did she do ETL?
No, she did ELT.
Oh.
Now, the little red data hen needed more help. Who will help me govern, structure, and steward the data? Not I. You're in charge of data, not me. Not I. That sounds like an IT job. Not I. Just upgrade your software stack and that will take care of it. Oh, very well. I'll do it myself, said the little red data hen. And she went off and established a data governance skunk works. And because she lived on a farm, she used a real skunk.
Yeah.
Finally, the little red data hen thought she had everything ready to go. She had taken the data from the silos, she cataloged, governed, structured, and stewarded the data in a hybrid cloud data lake behind the barn.
She could use a data mesh.
You're right. Who will help me leverage all our trusted data? Asked the little red hen. I will. Now I have customer 360. I will. Now all our numbers tie out. I will. Now we can reduce customer churn. Finally, the whole barnyard can have consistent KPIs. They all mooed and barked and oinked. The little red hen was so happy and excited. Unfortunately, it was too late. By that point, the legacy barnyard was disrupted by a data science-based farming startup that used predictive analytics to provide an innovative crop-as-a-service offering.
What's that?
They had to close down because they waited too long to fix their data.
Why?
They just couldn't get the stakeholder engagement. The finance puppy was given away. The sales cow, the marketing pig, and the little red data hen were all sold to a food service operation. Don't be like a bunch of silly barnyard animals. Managing data is the job of the whole farm. The end.
Something funny, but Papa, is data the new oil?
That is a different story.
All right, let's hear it from my grandson, Data Whisperer Jr. We're so proud he just got put in the data 10 under 10. Could not be prouder. I know that story ends dark. Don't let yours end that way either. It's a cautionary tale. If you want to live happily ever after telling your data story, remember every enterprise has a data story to tell. It's about providing value to your relationships through your brands at scale. Two types of data storytelling out there: stories about the data, data management, determining the truth, and stories with data, business intelligence and analytics, deriving meaning. You want to balance the how and the why. I over-rotated on the why today because that's my part, but you got to know how to do it if they say yes. But remember, you need both. Leverage those 3 V's of data storytelling: establish an accessible vocabulary, harmonize to a common voice, and illuminate your business vision. And stories can work faster than processes. An effective narrative can capture the hearts and minds of your business, unify and motivate your team. It can get people to go from, I have no idea what you're talking about, to how do we live without this? And storytelling is a superpower. Get better at it. You owe that to yourself if you want to be a leader, to get better at communicating. The last page in my book, I'm not giving away the ending here, but the last page is: hardware comes and goes, software comes and goes, but data remains. Well, I want to thank all of you at Insight Jam here. Hopefully you enjoyed data storytelling for data management. I want to thank you for paying attention, and hopefully you picked up a few tips today, a little twist of phrase, a little different way to position the work that you do. And if you did, then I did my job. Please use this QR code, scan it if you want to find me on LinkedIn. Just look me up, Scott Taylor, the Data Whisperer. Please follow me if you liked anything I did. But this code will take you to all my links: LinkedIn, my YouTube playlist, the website, my data puppets. If you want to get my book, Telling Your Data Story, go to technicspubs.com. There's a promo code there of TP25 that'll take 25% off. It's also available on Amazon. And again, I want to thank all of the folks at Solutions Review and at Insight Jam for having me today. Scott Taylor, the Data Whisperer. I'll see you next time.
For video highlights, replays, and more, visit insightjam.com.